KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
And welcome!
Good morning.
Beautiful Saturday morning and a great show, isn't
I'm
it?
so glad you could make it, too. We know we're counting down the time. I didn't know if you'd be showing up or not.
He
walked in.
like one of our guests right here, she said, I was so executed to be in here that it took a little bit longer to get here, right, Sandra?
That is true. That is very true. Thank
Darn you, autocorrect!
Yes. and we're still awaiting one of our guests now.
We are waiting one of our guests right now. But, we have a great show coming on board right now. One of the things that we talked about today, we've done this before.
So what are we doing?
We've sort of gone all around the city, but now we're going to bring it back, and we're actually going to be talking about real estate in the Memorial area. And, most people don't realize Memorial is a very old, established area. A lot of good activity going on, a lot of development. The villages are actually smoking hot, as Joe would say.
Been smoking hot for a long time.
Been smoking hot for a long time, and we have three great guests to talk about what's going on in regards to that. And one on the way, that is correct.
Much like the Real Estate Rat Pack, the Memorial area is smoking hot.
Yes,
smoking hot, let me tell you.
I'm really excited. I've known the three that we have on today for a good while, and they are outstanding agents. And Sandra Marconi with Keller Williams Memorial. I almost said Metropolitan. Excuse me.
Did.
What an insult.
I think she said it and then took it back, right?
Which is not an insult to Keller Williams Metropolitan. But I've known Sandra for a long time. She's a great producer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And also, David M. Young of the David Young team with Coldwell Banker, who offices right there on Memorial. Welcome to the show.
Just west of Kirkwood.
Just west of Kirkwood. And David and his father have been doing a team for a long time, but David was telling me earlier this morning that a lot of the business he does is pretty much on his own. So he's got his own identity. So we want to kind of focus on that. But we are going to talk about Memorial today.
Right.
So who would like to start out? Sandra, would you like to be the...
We got Sandra right here. Ladies first, I always say.
Ladies first, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. So kind of give us a background. How did you get into real estate?
My husband had actually been working in the oil and gas industry, got laid off, and one night we were walking and said, hey, why don't I go do real estate? Got my license. My church family waited for me to get my license, and that's what kind of catapulted me into production.
Well, I told Sandra this morning when we were chatting that I actually use her when I coach agents and stuff, because she's launched her career by saying, you know what, they're doing a billing fund to the church. If you refer me to somebody, I'll donate 10% of what I make back to the building fund. So that year, you were Rookie of the Year.
I was.
And so I think what a great, smart way to start a business.
I would absolutely agree. I tell everybody, and I think a lot of our guests would agree with this, is part of what we do in the real estate business is about giving back. It's about being successful at what we do to be able to give back to a certain organization. One of the things that a lot of the agents I work with, and more importantly what we do as a company, is give back to a lot of the profit or non-for-profit or areas of interest that really impact our heart, whether it be through our churches or through our non-for-profit organizations or through things that have happened in our lives. So I definitely relate to that.
But the nice thing, Sandra gives with her heart. It
Yes.
turned out to be outstanding for her, but that was her motivation was from her heart, which
Absolutely.
I always really appreciate. So, Sandra, let's talk about what's going on out there. I mean, we're hearing stuff about multiple contracts. You can't find anything. What's been your experience in the Memorial area?
We've got multiple contracts. We can't find anything. It's great for the sellers. It's a frenzy for our buyers. We're right now, I got an email late last night that we were not accepted on one of our offers, and it's frustrating because we can't find anything. Or when we do find stuff, it's going within hours. And that's, it's tough when you have a buyer, great when you have a seller.
So do you have that little taking them out that where you talk to them about, look, this is what we're experiencing in the marketplace, so don't be discouraged.
We have a very strong buyer consultation with our buyers. We sit down, we tell them, this is what you can expect, and this is probably what's going to happen. We're going to do our best to help you and to get you into the home that you want. But it doesn't always work.
Oh, I know. And one of the things, I think it's pretty interesting because we're all in the Memorial area. My office actually in the Memorial area. as well. And we see this all the time. And how do you counter this? I mean, one of the things that I'm seeing all the time in the Memorial area, which is a very good indicator of what's going on in the market, is Memorial is obviously a more expensive, for lack of a better word, area. A lot of our home prices right there are a little bit higher than the average, 250 median sales price right there. And so I'm seeing a lot of times, $700, $800, $900 million plus homes with multiple offers on them. And a lot of times these offers are going up. It's not the typical 1% over list price or anything. I mean, I've seen deals, be listed up 10% over offer price to be able to get the offer. How are you consulting your clients and getting those type of offers, or what do you do in those cases in which an individual really wants a home and they're going to have to overbid to get it?
Well, they've got to have the money to bring to the table if they're going to do that. And because a lot of times the seller is requiring, if the house doesn't appraise, if they're not paying cash, then you need to be prepared to bring some extra money to the table. And sometimes that's kind of hard to take, because sometimes you are overpaying for a home,
Absolutely.
And so the one client that I had last night, she said, do we need to go over? I don't think the house would have appraised. And then, is it good business to bring extra money to the table?
Right.
So we're really having those hard conversations, and some clients are willing to do that and some are not, And,
and I think it was very interesting what you said, because, a lot of times that what they're willing to pay has more to do with what they want out of the home or like in the home or location than what maybe the true market value at that time is indicated on the property. And so it's important, as you said, to sit down and have that consultation, because that is a big difference. I mean, a lot of clients don't necessarily buy because of where the market is. They buy because of where they are in their life or what they want in their life. Correct.
And I cannot advise a client to bring extra money. I mean, I can advise them and tell them you may have to do this, but in my opinion, is it good business? It just depends on what their needs and wants are. And it's just, it's tough on buyers right now. It's just really, really tough.
There's actually some lawsuits starting to occur. Of course, everything begins in California and rolls this way, is that there's some lawsuits right now that, you let me pay too much for this property. And so we're seeing the reverse action on that. And that's the other conversation we had, and we were at a Houston Association of Realtors strat planning this week in Galveston, and we were talking about pocket listings a lot.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about pocket listings. And first of all, a pocket listing, for those listening, it's those that are listed but they're not put on the MLS system. It's kind of held privately. And there's a lot of reasons to do it. Some people do it for a security reason. They don't want a lot of people coming to their house. We had somebody in the Woodlands on the show. We talked about, the seller said, please make this stop. My neighbors are complaining the streets are all jammed up with realtors in their cars. And they're blocking all the driveways. And it was a real thing. So they started doing pocket listings. And they were networking with a group of realtors that worked that area. So they were still getting multiple offers, but it was not the frenzy. So what are you seeing in your office?
We have had some pocket listings as well. I don't know that we've had quite the frenzy that you're talking about, but pocket listings, they're selling too.
And the question comes up when you're talking about, a fiduciary responsibility that we have to our clients is, did you get the highest and best offer if you have a pocket listing because you didn't expose it to the entire market? What's your feelings on that?
I don't know that you necessarily are. I think it depends on the home, it depends on your seller, and it depends on what they're wanting to net. So sometimes it's well worth putting it in MLS to get that highest and best offer as well too. And you can always kind of curtail how much activity you're going to have, because I know a friend of mine came in the office last night, put a house on the market yesterday, has an offer on it, have an open house today, but it's going to hold off on accepting offers, until Sunday. So that's happening a lot as well too. So that they can see what else can come in.
Clients are always in charge. They're not always right, but they are always in charge.
This is true.
And it's interesting because I'm a big watcher of all the real estate shows out there, right? Like $1 Million Homes Los Angeles and New York,
Lord.
And all the exaggerated real estate that goes on out there. And my sister lives out there, so I asked her one time about the pocket listings. I would agree with you. I think that the pocket listings, while it's good for a certain level of home, you don't necessarily maximize what you can end up getting. Unless you're in a big office, like what everyone is here in this room, in which you can end up, putting it out there to multiple areas. But it's a very interesting thing, because we have such a strong association here in HAR that really, I think by not listing it with HAR, you are minimizing the value you could probably get.
And thank you for not calling it HAR. I appreciate that very much.
I actually met yesterday with a guy. He's got a $6 million house and doesn't have to sell it. but he sees what homes are selling for in Memorial right now. He just finished his house last year in November, new construction, gorgeous house. He says, if I can sell this for $600 a square foot, why don't we do that? But he doesn't want to put it in MLS, doesn't want to sign, doesn't want me to advertise it because he doesn't want everybody he knows going, what's the problem? Why are you putting your house
That's
in the
an
market?
absolute pocket listing.
Right.
And that's a good pocket listing in my opinion. That would be a perfect example of one.
There's some sites out there basically called Make Me Move. There was one called MakeMeMove.com. I think that's been incorporated into Zillow. Basically, someone says, I'll sell my house if you bring me this, or make me an offer, and if it's high enough, I'll move.
Everybody's got a price.
Everybody's got a price.
That is true.
But the appraisers have a price too.
Yes, they do. Oh, yes, they do.
And they when markets are trending downwards, they take into account downward trends.
Right.
But when it's trending upwards, they don't.
They don't. Well, they're having a hard time keeping up. That's what we have found is that you've got an area of town, that's appreciating, and the appraisers haven't caught up with it. So that's why it's so important to be out there when that appraiser comes.
Well, and the appraisals right now, let me tell you, I think everyone struggles with appraisals a little bit. I mean, we would all, be lying if we didn't say so. But one of the things an appraiser told me the other day is Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, which is generally speaking a lot of the, national-backed security companies for mortgage-backed securities, they're actually now allowing appraisers, if they have third-party verifications of a certain trending of upwards, let's say they can get actual verification that Memorial has appreciated 5% in 2013, they can start incorporating that into their appraisal values versus just looking at the historical values as far as the past 6 months. So it is important to know that. The problem is that they're struggling to get some of those third-party verifications because you have to get it from multiple sources, and it can't be from a area realtor association.
And actually they do come to multiple listing. I mean, most of the appraisers belong to the multiple listings.
Right.
The thing is, when you have a pocket listing, this is what happens in our big discussion, our strategic planning yesterday, was that you don't have the data at that point.
Right.
You have sales occurring, and we don't have the data. We're a non-disclosure state. It's not required that you disclose the price of a home. So what happens is the appraiser goes out there, basically scratches his or her head and goes, we don't know. So, we had some other information disseminated from Dr. Ted Jones, who is a renowned economist. I think most of the people in this room have listened to Ted. And he gave a presentation and said that rates, he said, I'll be standing here next year and rates will be 6 to 6.5%.
I would agree.
Tell me, how is that going to impact, especially the high-end market? Do you think that's going to do anything or nothing?
I think anytime the rates start going up, it affects everybody, whether it's high-end or low-end or middle of the road. So no matter what, I think it's going to determine how much home you can buy. I think people are going to be upset that they didn't jump on the bandwagon. Now, I would suggest if you're on the fence, jump off and let's go.
That's actually why I threw it out there.
Right.
we need some more listings, please.
Right, and one thing that is happening, we're seeing, is that with rates moving up, and rates are going to be up this time next year, they're at least going to be 1.5 higher. There's no doubt in my mind about it. But one of the things we're seeing a lot of people jump back in right now who have been on the fence. We need more people to still jump in, don't get me wrong. But on the other side of things, I tell everybody, is rates moving up is not a bad thing. Rates moving up is actually a good thing for the long-term health of the industry. Why? Because we need to create a private mortgage industry. Right now, everything is government-based. If we don't start creating a private mortgage industry, what's going to end up happening is eventually the government doesn't want to lend money. They don't want to buy mortgage-backed securities. Right. They don't want to enhance the products, and we will see a stagnation of lending.
Yeah. People don't realize, too, when we bought our first home, our interest rate was 16% interest in 83, and that's just what it was. Historically, even 6.5 is still low.
Yeah,
no matter how you
make
cut
that
it.
comment. I said, I bought in 2005, 2006. I can't remember now. And it was I got 8
But
and a
you will be
quarter.
moving soon, right?
Yeah,
Kim,
yes.
we're still working on them.
Yes, every week. I got 8 and a quarter, and it was a good rate at the time, and we didn't think twice about that. That was like, oh wow, we got a good rate.
And that's the way rates are going to continue to move up a little bit. But as you mentioned, Sandra, people just adjust to that. When I bought our first home, we adjusted based on the 10% that I was at. And then we refinanced multiple times. People
So did we.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone does.
We were
right?
excited when we got it down to 12%.
Right. So that's what ends up happening is you just end up adjusting down. This is a great subject. We're going to go on forever and ever, but we got to come up against a break right now. We want to hear from you. Give us a call. We're live, 800-808-5548. We'll be right back.
My heart won't let my feet do things that they should do.